Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world where the day begins long before sunrise. The stars still hang above the dark land. The Nile River moves quietly through the night. The air is cool. The desert beyond the green fields rests beneath a blanket of silence. In a small village made of mud brick homes, most people are still asleep. A dog lies curled beside a doorway. A fishing net hangs from a wooden pole. A clay jar stands near a wall where yesterday's water remains cool. Nothing moves very quickly. The world seems to be holding its breath before another day begins. This is ancient Egypt. Not the Egypt of mighty rulers and golden treasures. Not the Egypt of grand monuments seen from far away. Tonight, we spend our time among ordinary people. We walk beside workers whose names have long disappeared into history. We follow farmers who rise before dawn. We sit with builders whose hands are rough from stone and rope. We rest beside fishermen, servants, scribes, and merchants. And most of all, we discover how these people survived the long hours of midday heat. The sun in Egypt could be relentless. It rose slowly, but once it climbed into the sky, it transformed the land. The earth became bright. The stone became hot. The air shimmered above roads and fields. Work did not stop entirely, but people learned something important over thousands of years. They learned how to rest. As the first pale light appears in the east, a farmer opens his eyes. His home is small. The walls are made from mud mixed with straw. The floor beneath him is packed earth. A woven mat serves as his bed. His wife is already awake. She moves quietly through the dim room. Nearby, a small clay oven waits for the morning fire. Soon the smell of bread begins to fill the house. Outside, other homes slowly come to life. A door creaks open. Sandals scrape softly against the ground. Someone carries water from a storage jar. A child rubs sleep from tired eyes. The village wakes gradually. No one rushes. The day is long. Everyone understands this. The farmer eats a simple meal. Bread. Perhaps onions. Perhaps a few dates. Water from a clay vessel. Nothing fancy. Just enough to prepare for many hours of labor. Before sunrise fully arrives, workers begin moving toward fields. Others travel toward workshops. Some head toward river docks where boats wait quietly along muddy banks. The Nile reflects the soft colors of dawn. Birds glide above calm water. Reeds sway gently along the shore. For a brief moment, the world feels cool and comfortable. These early hours are precious. Workers know that. They try to accomplish as much as possible before the heat grows stronger. Farmers step into fields dark with rich river soil. Their feet sink slightly into damp earth. Some guide oxen. Others carry simple tools across their shoulders. The sounds are soft. Animal calls. Footsteps. Quiet conversation. Water moving through irrigation channels. The work begins. And little by little, the sun climbs higher. At first, nobody pays much attention. The warmth feels pleasant. Even welcome. After the coolness of night, the sunlight seems gentle. But Egypt teaches patience. The heat never arrives all at once. It gathers slowly. The morning continues. Workers bend over crops. Builders haul materials. Potters shape wet clay. Fishermen pull nets from water. Merchants arrange goods for trade. Everywhere people are busy. Everywhere movement fills the landscape. Yet beneath all activity is an awareness shared by everyone. The hottest part of the day is still coming. A builder working near a construction site wipes sweat from his forehead. The stone beneath his feet already feels warmer than before. His tunic sticks lightly against his skin. He glances toward the sun. Still climbing. Still growing brighter. The day has only begun. Across Egypt, workers have learned to organize life around this rhythm. Morning work. Midday rest. Evening activity. It is a pattern shaped by nature itself. No ruler invented it. No official announced it. The land taught it. The sun taught it. Generation after generation passed down this understanding. And so, as the hours continue, people listen carefully to their own bodies. They recognize fatigue. They respect heat. They know when strength must be preserved. By late morning, shadows begin shrinking. The sunlight grows sharper. The dusty roads become brighter. Travel becomes less pleasant. Animals slow their pace. Even birds seem quieter. In a village workshop, a carpenter sets down his tools for a moment. The air inside feels heavy. Light enters through a small opening near the roof. Dust drifts lazily through golden beams. Sweat runs down his neck. He drinks water slowly. Not too quickly. Water is valuable. Every sip matters. Nearby, another worker stretches tired muscles. Nobody speaks much. The heat encourages silence. Outside, the village appears calmer than before. Activity still exists, but its energy has changed. Movements become slower. More deliberate. People conserve effort. A woman carrying grain pauses beneath a patch of shade. A donkey stands beside a wall, ears twitching lazily. Children who played earlier now sit quietly near doorways. The entire settlement seems to be settling into a gentler rhythm. And still the sun rises higher. By midday, the transformation is complete. The Egyptian landscape becomes a world of brightness. Stone walls reflect sunlight. Roads shimmer. Fields glow beneath intense skies. Heat radiates from every surface. The air itself feels thick. This is the moment when workers begin seeking relief. Not because they are lazy. Not because work is unimportant. But because survival requires wisdom. A tired body exposed to relentless heat can become weak. A worker who collapses cannot finish tomorrow's tasks. Ancient Egyptians understood this through experience. The midday pause became an important part of life. In some places, workers gathered beneath simple shelters. These structures might be little more than wooden poles supporting woven mats. Yet the shade they created felt wonderful. A few degrees cooler. Protected from direct sunlight. Enough to make rest possible. Men sit together quietly. Some remove sandals. Others lean against walls. Nobody hurries. Nobody demands constant movement. The hottest hours belong to rest. A worker closes his eyes. Not sleeping fully. Just resting. Allowing tired muscles to recover. Allowing his heartbeat to slow. The sound of conversation drifts softly through the shelter. People speak about crops. About family. About tomorrow's work. Simple subjects. Nothing urgent. Nothing loud. The heat itself seems to encourage calm voices. Nearby, another group shares food. Bread is broken into pieces. Dates pass from hand to hand. Someone has onions. Someone else brings dried fish. The meal is modest. Yet after a long morning, it feels satisfying. People eat slowly. There is no reason to rush. The sun remains high overhead. The heat remains strong. Across the Nile Valley, countless scenes like this unfold. Farmers rest beneath trees. Builders gather near walls that provide shade. Boat workers shelter beneath cloth coverings stretched across decks. Servants pause within cooler sections of large homes. Even animals seek protection. Goats gather beside buildings. Dogs stretch beneath shadows. Birds hide among reeds. Every living creature responds to the same force. The midday sun. Inside many homes, the atmosphere changes as well. The thick mud brick walls help keep interiors cooler. Not cold. Simply cooler than outside. For families, these hours offer a chance to recover. A mother sits near a doorway where a slight breeze occasionally enters. A child sleeps nearby. The house remains dim. Quiet. Peaceful. The sounds of work outside grow distant. Only occasional footsteps break the silence. Ancient Egyptian homes were not luxurious for most people. Yet their design reflected generations of experience. Builders understood how walls could reduce heat. How narrow openings could limit harsh sunlight. How shaded courtyards could create more comfortable spaces. These practical solutions made daily life easier. Especially during midday. In larger towns, scribes often enjoyed somewhat different working conditions. Their labor relied on writing rather than heavy physical effort. Still, heat affected them too. A scribe sits cross-legged with papyrus spread before him. His brush moves carefully. His concentration remains steady. Yet even he pauses occasionally. The air feels warm. The room feels still. He drinks water. Perhaps he steps away briefly. Even mental work becomes difficult beneath oppressive heat. Outside, the streets appear almost sleepy. The busiest activity has faded. The sunlight dominates everything. A merchant sits quietly beside his goods. Customers are fewer now. Many people prefer waiting until later. Trade will continue when the air cools. For now, patience feels easier. Time itself seems slower. The Nile continues flowing through all of this. Untroubled. Steady. Ancient. Its waters provide life throughout the valley. During midday, some workers find comfort near riverbanks. Not swimming for recreation in a modern sense. Simply sitting near water. Enjoying slightly cooler air. Listening to gentle waves against reeds and boats. The sound alone feels soothing. A fisherman repairs part of a net beneath shade. His hands continue moving, though slowly. Not all work stops entirely. Certain tasks remain manageable. Light repairs. Simple preparation. Quiet duties requiring less energy. The goal is balance. Avoiding unnecessary strain. Preserving strength. As afternoon stretches onward, many workers drift toward brief sleep. These naps are practical. Not luxurious. A woven mat. A patch of shade. Perhaps a folded cloth beneath the head. Nothing more. Yet for a laborer who rose before dawn, such rest can feel deeply comforting. The body relaxes. Breathing slows. The mind drifts. Outside, heat continues pressing down upon the land. Inside shade, however, another world exists. A softer world. A quieter world. A world of recovery. The sleeping worker does not dream of kings. He does not dream of monuments. He dreams perhaps of cool water. Of family. Of evening meals. Of another peaceful night. The ordinary hopes of an ordinary person. Hours pass this way. Slowly. Gently. The fierce brightness eventually begins changing. Not dramatically. Just little by little. The sun starts its gradual descent. Shadows lengthen. The air softens. The worst heat begins releasing its grip. Workers notice immediately. A breeze feels cooler. Breathing becomes easier. Movement requires less effort. The landscape awakens once more. People emerge from shade. Tools are lifted again. Animals become more active. Conversations grow slightly livelier. The second working period of the day begins. But now bodies feel refreshed. The midday rest has done its work. Strength has returned. And across ancient Egypt, countless workers step back into their routines beneath a gentler afternoon sky. The Nile continues flowing quietly beside them. The desert waits beyond the fertile fields. And the long, peaceful rhythm of Egyptian life carries on, one slow day at a time. The afternoon light settles gently across the valley. The harsh brilliance of midday has begun to soften, though the land still holds much of the day's warmth. Stone walls remain hot to the touch. Dusty roads continue to shimmer faintly beneath the sun. Yet there is a noticeable change in the air. Workers feel it immediately. A farmer rising from a shaded resting place stretches his back and shoulders. The brief pause has eased some of the stiffness that gathered during the morning hours. He adjusts his simple linen garment and steps once more toward the fields. Around him, others are doing the same. A builder picks up a wooden mallet. A fisherman gathers his nets. A merchant arranges baskets of goods. The quiet stillness of midday slowly gives way to movement again. No one rushes. Ancient Egypt moves at its own steady pace. The afternoon work often feels different from the labor of morning. Morning carries a sense of beginning. Afternoon carries a sense of continuation. People know exactly what remains to be done before evening arrives. The farmer walks beside an irrigation channel where water glides slowly through the rich soil. The Nile has always been the heart of this land. Without it, the valley would be swallowed by the surrounding desert. Every field depends upon its waters. Every village depends upon its gifts. The farmer kneels beside young plants. The earth feels warm beneath his hands. A dragonfly drifts above the water. Somewhere nearby, birds call softly among the reeds. The work is repetitive. Patient. Gentle. Hour after hour, day after day. Yet there is comfort in routine. The same tasks performed by fathers, grandfathers, and generations before them. The same rhythms repeated season after season. Across the valley, construction workers continue their own routines. Many people imagine ancient Egypt as a place of endless monument building. But most construction involved ordinary things. Homes. Storage buildings. Walls. Workshops. Simple structures needed by everyday communities. A worker lifts a basket filled with mud and straw. Another shapes bricks. A third stacks finished bricks beneath a covered area. The labor requires strength. But experience teaches efficiency. Workers understand how to conserve energy. How to move carefully. How to avoid wasting effort. These lessons are valuable beneath the Egyptian sun. Nearby, a young apprentice watches older laborers closely. He studies their movements. The way they carry loads. The way they rest. The way they pace themselves. Knowledge is often passed through observation. One generation teaching the next without formal instruction. A simple nod. A quiet demonstration. A shared afternoon of work. These become lessons remembered for years. As the sun lowers further, villages begin showing signs of preparation for evening. In small homes, cooking fires are slowly awakened. Thin streams of smoke rise into the sky. Women begin grinding grain. The steady sound of stone against stone echoes softly from open doorways. The scent of bread slowly returns. Throughout Egypt, bread is life. Simple. Reliable. Familiar. Every household knows its importance. The smell drifts through narrow village paths. It mingles with the scent of warm earth and river air. Together they create an atmosphere that feels deeply comforting. A child sits near his mother as she works. He watches quietly. Perhaps he helps in small ways. Passing a tool. Carrying a small basket. Learning household routines that will someday become his own responsibilities. Life moves slowly in these moments. Nothing dramatic happens. And yet these ordinary scenes form the foundation of an entire civilization. Far from palaces and temples, daily life unfolds through countless small actions. A loaf of bread baked. A field watered. A net repaired. A wall maintained. These quiet tasks keep the world functioning. Near the river, fishermen continue working while daylight remains. Their boats glide across calm water. Wood creaks softly beneath their feet. The Nile reflects golden afternoon light. Its surface appears almost endless. One fisherman lowers a net carefully. He knows these waters well. He knows where fish gather. He knows how currents change throughout the seasons. His knowledge comes not from books but from years of observation. Years spent beside the river. Years spent listening to water. The Nile rewards patience. The fisherman understands this. He waits quietly. The river flows quietly. Neither feels the need to hurry. Back in the villages, scribes continue their duties. Though their work is less physical, it still requires endurance. A scribe sits within a shaded room. Papyrus rests before him. Carefully prepared ink waits nearby. His brush moves steadily across the surface. Recording transactions. Tracking supplies. Documenting harvests. Preserving information. The room is silent except for the faint scratching of brush against papyrus. Outside, distant voices drift through open spaces. The world continues moving. Yet inside, concentration reigns. The scribe occasionally pauses. He stretches his fingers. Rolls his shoulders. Takes a slow drink of water. Even skilled hands grow tired after many hours. The afternoon deepens. The sunlight becomes softer. Long shadows begin stretching across roads and fields. Animals become more active. Donkeys carry goods between settlements. Goats wander near homes. Dogs patrol familiar paths. Their movements add gentle life to the landscape. In one village, a merchant prepares for the evening trade period. Many customers avoided the strongest heat earlier. Now they begin returning. The merchant arranges baskets of vegetables. Bundles of reeds. Clay vessels. Simple goods needed by local families. His stall is modest. Most merchants are not wealthy. They work hard for every exchange. Every sale. Every handful of grain earned through trade. The evening hours often bring renewed activity. Not frantic activity. Just steady movement. People feel more comfortable outside. Conversations become longer. Neighbors stop and speak. Children play once more. The village feels alive again. A warm breeze passes through narrow streets. Dust rises briefly before settling again. The day is gradually moving toward its most pleasant hours. For workers, this period often feels rewarding. The hardest heat has passed. Much of the day's labor is already complete. The body remains tired, but not overwhelmed. There is satisfaction in reaching this point. A sense that another day has been successfully navigated. Ancient Egyptians understood physical exhaustion very well. Most people lived lives filled with labor. Heavy lifting. Walking long distances. Working beneath the sun. Repeated movements performed countless times. Fatigue was a familiar companion. Not an unusual event. Simply part of life. Because of this, rest held great importance. Not merely sleeping at night, but small moments throughout the day. Pauses beneath shade. Quiet meals. Evening conversations. Gentle stretches of stillness. These moments help restore strength. A farmer returning from the fields carries his tools home. His pace is slow. Measured. The road feels familiar beneath his sandals. He has walked this path hundreds of times. Perhaps thousands. The fields behind him glow beneath fading sunlight. Birds circle above distant reeds. The Nile reflects orange and gold. The beauty of the landscape requires no announcement. It simply exists. Quietly. Patiently. As it has for centuries. When the farmer reaches home, the atmosphere has changed from morning. The household feels fuller now. Family members have returned from their various tasks. The day's responsibilities are slowly giving way to evening routines. A meal is being prepared. Water jars are checked. Tools are stored safely. Children sit together sharing stories from the day. Simple observations. Small discoveries. Ordinary moments. Inside the home, temperatures gradually become more comfortable. The thick mud brick walls continue helping against the lingering heat. The interior feels calm. Protected. A place of recovery after long hours outside. The farmer washes dust from his hands. The cool water feels refreshing. Tiny comforts become meaningful after physical labor. A clean face. A drink of water. A shaded room. A place to sit. Such things may appear small. Yet they matter greatly. As darkness approaches, cooking fires become more numerous. Across villages and towns, countless meals are being prepared. The scent of baking bread fills the air once again. Stews simmer slowly. Vegetables are prepared. Fish caught earlier may be cooked for supper. Families gather together. The meal itself is not extravagant. Most people live modestly. Yet eating together offers comfort beyond food alone. The day's work is finished. At least for now. The pressure of labor eases. Voices become softer. Laughter occasionally appears. The atmosphere feels lighter. Outside, the sky continues changing color. Orange becomes gold. Gold becomes pink. Pink fades into purple. The Nile mirrors every transformation. Its waters seem almost magical beneath the evening light. Boatmen guide their vessels toward shore. Fishermen secure equipment. Travelers seek places to rest. The entire valley begins preparing for night. For many workers, these evening hours are precious. Unlike midday rest, which serves practical needs, evening offers emotional comfort. A chance to reconnect with family. A chance to simply exist without immediate responsibilities. A chance to listen. To observe. To breathe. An elderly man sits outside his home. The air feels pleasant now. He watches younger villagers moving through the fading light. He has lived through many seasons, many harvests, many floods of the Nile. He understands how quickly years pass. Yet evenings like this remain familiar, almost unchanged. The same warm breeze, the same distant sounds, the same gradual arrival of darkness. Night approaches gently in Egypt. There is no sudden transformation. The land slowly releases the final heat of the day. Shadows deepen. Colors fade. The first stars appear overhead. Workers feel their bodies growing heavier. Not from discomfort. From honest tiredness. The kind earned through effort. The kind that makes rest feel deeply satisfying. A builder finishes his evening meal. His muscles ache slightly. His hands are rough from labor. Tomorrow will bring another day of work. Another sunrise. Another midday heat. Another period of rest beneath shade. The cycle continues. Steady. Reliable. Endless. He lies down upon a woven mat. The room is quiet. Nearby, family members settle into sleep. Outside, occasional sounds drift through the darkness. A dog barking in the distance. A faint voice. The rustle of wind against walls. Nothing disturbing. Just reminders that life continues all around. The builder closes his eyes. His breathing slows. His body relaxes. The heat of midday already feels far away. Tomorrow it will return. The Egyptian sun always returns. Yet so does the wisdom passed down through generations. Work when the air is cool. Rest when the heat becomes strongest. Move again when evening arrives. A simple rhythm. A human rhythm. One that countless workers followed throughout ancient Egypt. And as night settles more fully over the Nile Valley, the villages grow quieter. The roads empty. The workshops fall silent. The boats rest beside dark riverbanks. Above everything, the stars shine softly over fields, homes, and sleeping workers. The land grows still. The river continues flowing. And another peaceful Egyptian night slowly unfolds beneath the endless sky. Night settles fully across the Nile Valley. The last traces of sunlight disappear beyond the western horizon. The warm colors of evening fade into deep blue darkness. One by one, small household fires burn lower. Villages that felt busy only a short time ago become quiet. The air feels different now. The heat that ruled the middle of the day has loosened its grip. A gentle breeze drifts across the fields. Palm leaves whisper softly. The Nile continues its patient journey through the darkness. For many workers, these nighttime hours are among the most comfortable moments of the entire day. The land finally cools. Bodies finally rest. Minds grow still. Inside a small mud brick home, a farmer lies upon a woven reed mat. His muscles carry the memory of the day's labor. His shoulders feel heavy. His hands are rough from years of work. Yet there is comfort in this tiredness. The fields were tended. The water channels were checked. The day's responsibilities were met. Nothing more is required tonight. Around him, family members sleep peacefully. A child shifts quietly in the darkness. Someone breathes deeply nearby. The room remains simple. A few clay jars. A basket. Some tools resting against a wall. Nothing extravagant. Nothing unnecessary. Only the things needed for daily life. Outside, the village grows almost silent. The occasional bark of a dog echoes through distant streets. A donkey moves somewhere in the darkness. Then quiet returns. Ancient Egypt often feels distant to us. Yet during these nighttime moments, the people themselves seem very familiar. A tired worker resting after a long day. A family gathered beneath one roof. The relief of cooler air after exhausting heat. These experiences belong to people in every age. The stars above the village shine brightly. Without modern lights, the night sky appears vast beyond imagination. Thousands of stars stretch from horizon to horizon. Ancient Egyptians knew these stars well. They watched them throughout their lives. They measured seasons through them. They guided journeys by them. And after long days of labor, many workers fell asleep beneath their silent glow. Hours pass quietly. The Nile flows steadily onward. Then, little by little, darkness begins to change. The eastern horizon grows slightly lighter. Not enough to call it dawn. Just a faint hint. A suggestion that morning is approaching once again. Roosters stir. Birds shift within trees. The world prepares itself. A new day waits patiently beyond the darkness. Before sunrise, many workers are already awake. This early rising is not unusual. The coolest hours of the day are precious. Work accomplished now requires less effort than work attempted beneath the midday sun. A fisherman rises from his mat. The air still feels cool against his skin. He steps outside. The village remains mostly quiet. Above him, a few stars still linger. Ahead, the Nile waits in silence. The fisherman walks toward the riverbank. His sandals leave faint marks in dusty ground. He carries equipment repaired during yesterday's afternoon and evening hours. The routine is familiar. Comfortably familiar. There is no need to think carefully about each step. His body remembers. His hands remember. The path itself feels like an old friend. As he reaches the water, dawn slowly spreads across the sky. Soft colors appear. Blue becomes silver. Silver becomes pale gold. The surface of the river catches the first light. Tiny ripples sparkle briefly. Birds begin calling from the reeds. The fisherman pauses for a moment. Not because he is lazy. Not because he has forgotten his work. Simply because the morning feels peaceful. The world has not fully awakened yet. The air carries a calmness that will disappear later. He enjoys it while it lasts. Soon his boat glides quietly onto the river. Nearby, other fishermen begin their own journeys. No one speaks loudly. Voices remain low. The day is beginning gently. Elsewhere, farmers emerge from their homes. Many carry simple tools. Others guide animals toward fields. The scent of fresh bread drifts through villages as morning meals are prepared. Cooking fires glow softly. Doors open. Footsteps appear along narrow roads. Life begins again. The pattern never truly stops. It only pauses. Day follows night. Night follows day. Work follows rest. Rest follows work. This rhythm shapes everything. For Egyptian workers, understanding this rhythm is essential. Especially when dealing with heat. The midday rest is not separate from work. It is part of work. It is one piece of the larger pattern that allows labor to continue day after day. A young field worker learns this lesson gradually. At first, he may wish to prove his strength. He may push himself harder than necessary. He may ignore signs of fatigue. Yet older workers notice. They have seen many young men make the same mistake. An older farmer calls him into the shade. Not with anger. Not with criticism. Simply with understanding. The younger worker sits reluctantly. The older farmer drinks water slowly. Then waits. After a few moments, the younger worker follows his example. The lesson requires few words. Experience speaks for itself. Strength is valuable. But endurance is even more valuable. A worker who lasts many seasons understands this. The sun continues climbing. The morning progresses. Across Egypt, workshops become active. Potters shape clay vessels. Carpenters smooth wooden surfaces. Weavers work carefully with linen threads. The sounds of labor spread through towns and villages. Wood tapping against wood. Clay turning beneath skilled hands. Quiet conversations between co-workers. A workshop often feels different from a field. The shade offers some protection. Walls reduce direct sunlight. Yet heat still finds its way inside. As hours pass, the air gradually grows heavier. A potter pauses to stretch his back. He wipes sweat from his forehead. Nearby, another worker adjusts a window covering to improve airflow. Small actions matter. Ancient people become experts at managing comfort within the limits available to them. Shade. Water. Air movement. Timing. These simple tools help make difficult conditions more manageable. Outside, merchants prepare for another day. Their work depends upon movement between people. Selling grain. Trading cloth. Exchanging tools. Providing everyday necessities. Many merchant stalls become busiest during cooler parts of the day. Customers prefer comfort whenever possible. The merchant understands this. He arranges his goods carefully. Then waits. Patience serves him well. Throughout the morning, the valley gradually grows warmer. The coolness of dawn becomes a memory. Sunlight strengthens. Shadows shorten. The familiar journey toward midday begins once again. A builder working near a village wall notices the change first through the stone itself. Earlier, the surface felt cool. Now it feels warm. Soon it will become hot. He knows exactly what this means. The same process has unfolded every day of his working life. The sun rises. The heat builds. The body tires. The shade calls. There is comfort in predictability. The world behaves as expected. The builder can plan around it. Everyone can. Across the fields, farmers continue working steadily. The rich soil remains productive. Water channels sparkle beneath bright skies. Yet conversation becomes less frequent. The heat encourages silence. Workers save energy. Their movements become more deliberate. More economical. Even animals seem to understand. Oxen move steadily but slowly. Birds seek shelter when possible. Dogs stretch beneath walls. Every creature responds to the same environment. By late morning, the signs become impossible to ignore. The sunlight feels intense. The air shimmers above roads. Dust clings to skin. Water tastes especially refreshing. Workers begin looking toward familiar resting places. A cluster of trees. A shaded wall. A simple shelter built from reeds and wooden supports. These locations are valuable. Not because they are luxurious. Because they offer relief. A place where the body can recover before continuing. One group of laborers gathers beneath a woven canopy. The shade is thin but effective. The difference feels remarkable. A few moments earlier, sunlight pressed heavily against their shoulders. Now they sit comfortably. Not cool, but protected. The workers share bread. Someone passes around dates. Another worker drinks carefully from a water jar. The conversation remains quiet, slow, relaxed. No one seems eager to return immediately to labor. The hottest hours have arrived. The land itself appears sleepy. Roads become less crowded. Fields grow quieter. Even villages seem to pause. Inside homes, families retreat from direct sunlight. Mud brick walls hold back some of the heat. Rooms remain dim. Children nap. Adults rest. Cooking slows until temperatures improve. The entire society adjusts to the conditions around it. There is wisdom in this adjustment. Ancient Egyptians do not fight the climate. They work with it. They observe it. They respect it. The midday rest becomes more than physical recovery. It becomes part of cultural memory. Part of daily identity. Generations grow up expecting it. Learning it. Trusting it. A child watching adults rest during midday eventually becomes an adult who does the same. The pattern continues. Not through laws. Not through commands. Through observation and experience. Outside, the Nile remains calm beneath the blazing sky. Its waters continue flowing regardless of temperature. Some workers sit near its banks during rest periods. The sight alone feels soothing. Water has that effect. A gentle current. The rustle of reeds. The distant call of water birds. These sounds create a natural calm. A fisherman seated beneath shade watches sunlight dance across the river. His eyes grow heavy. The morning began very early. His work required effort. The heat encourages stillness. Before long, he drifts into a light sleep. Around him, others do the same. Not deep sleep. Not lengthy sleep. Just enough. Enough for muscles to relax. Enough for energy to return. Enough to prepare for the afternoon ahead. The ancient world becomes very quiet during these moments. Almost as if the entire valley is breathing slowly together. Fields resting. Workers resting. Animals resting. Villages resting. The great river alone continues moving without pause. And beneath the endless Egyptian sky, another midday unfolds just as countless others have before it, with patience, wisdom, shade, and the simple understanding that rest is not the opposite of work, but one of the things that makes work possible. The fisherman sleeps lightly beside the Nile. A woven mat rests beneath him. A folded piece of cloth supports his head. Nearby, reeds sway gently in the warm breeze that drifts along the riverbank. The sleep is not deep. It does not need to be. The purpose of midday rest is not to disappear into long dreams. It is simply to allow the body to loosen its grip on effort. For a little while, muscles relax. Breathing slows. The weight of the morning lifts. Around him, others rest in their own quiet ways. One man leans against a tree trunk with his eyes closed. Another sits with his back against a mud brick wall. A farmer stretches out beneath a simple shelter made from reeds and wooden poles. No one speaks very much. The heat itself seems to quiet every voice. Above them, the Egyptian sun shines from a nearly cloudless sky. The brightness is immense. The light reflects from stone, from water, from pale earth. Even distant buildings appear to glow. Travel during these hours becomes less appealing. A merchant leading a donkey along a dusty road moves carefully. The animal walks slowly. Its hooves stir small clouds of dust. Both man and beast seem content to take their time. There is no advantage in rushing. The road will still be there. The destination will still be waiting. The heat teaches patience. In many villages, midday is one of the quietest times of the entire day. The sounds that filled the morning gradually fade. Hammers become silent. Voices soften. Tools rest where they were set down. Even children often become calmer. Inside homes, families retreat from the brightness outside. The thick mud brick walls create welcome shelter. The difference may not be dramatic, but every little bit helps. A mother sits near a doorway where a faint breeze enters. Her young daughter sleeps nearby on a woven mat. A clay jar stands in the corner of the room. Water stored inside remains cooler than the outside air. The mother pours a small amount into a cup. She drinks slowly. Carefully. Water is precious. Especially during the hotter seasons. Throughout ancient Egypt, people develop many small habits that help them endure the climate. None of them seem extraordinary. Yet together they make daily life possible. They rise early. They seek shade. They conserve energy. They rest during the hottest hours. They understand the land because they live with it every day. These practices become so natural that few people think about them. They simply follow the rhythm learned from parents and grandparents. Outside one village, a group of laborers rests beneath a large sycamore tree. Its branches spread wide above them. Its leaves cast shifting shadows across the ground. The shade is uneven, but nobody minds. Even partial protection feels wonderful beneath the midday sun. One worker removes his sandals and rubs his tired feet. Another quietly repairs a small tear in his clothing. A third simply watches the distant fields. The scene is peaceful. No one feels pressure to fill every moment with activity. Sometimes rest means doing nothing at all. The hours drift by gently. A dragonfly glides above nearby water. Birds move among the reeds. The breeze comes and goes. The world feels slower here. Far from the concerns of rulers and officials. Far from the grand temples that future generations will remember. The ordinary workers of Egypt spend their days focused on practical things. Food. Shelter. Family. Health. The next harvest. The next market day. The next journey along the river. Their lives are not recorded in stone inscriptions. Most leave behind no written words at all. Yet they form the foundation of the civilization around them. Without farmers, there is no grain. Without builders, there are no homes. Without fishermen, there is less food for growing communities. Without countless ordinary workers, Egypt cannot function. As the afternoon slowly approaches, subtle changes begin to appear. The shadows shift slightly. The angle of sunlight changes. The air remains hot, but the worst intensity starts to ease. People notice these things instinctively. A builder opens his eyes after resting. He glances toward the sky. Not because he is studying time carefully. Simply because years of experience have trained him to recognize the signs. Soon it will be comfortable enough to work again. Not yet. But soon. The laborers beneath the sycamore tree remain where they are. No one hurries to stand. The rest period still has value. A little more recovery means more strength later. One older worker begins telling a quiet story. Not a grand tale of kings. Just a memory from many years ago. A season when the Nile rose especially high. A year when fish were abundant. The younger workers listen. The story moves slowly. Like the river itself. There is no dramatic ending. No lesson carefully explained. Just a simple memory shared beneath a tree. These moments matter. History often remembers buildings and rulers. Yet daily life is built from conversations like these. Small exchanges. Shared meals. Stories told during rest. Knowledge passed between generations. As the afternoon continues, workshops begin waking once more. A carpenter returns to his bench. Sunlight enters through a narrow opening in the wall. Dust floats through the golden beam. He picks up a tool and resumes his work. The movements feel familiar. Comfortably familiar. Wood shavings curl away beneath his blade. The scent of fresh cut wood fills the room. Nearby, another craftsman shapes a wooden handle for a tool. Neither man speaks much. The quiet rhythm of work returns naturally. Across the valley, farmers step back into their fields. The soil remains warm beneath their feet. Water channels continue carrying life from the Nile. The afternoon light softens everything slightly. Work feels easier now. Not easy. Simply easier than before. A young farmer carries a basket through rows of crops. Sweat still gathers on his skin. The labor remains demanding. Yet his body feels stronger after resting. His movements are steadier. His mind clearer. The midday pause has done exactly what it was meant to do. Farther down the river, fishermen return to their boats. The water reflects the changing light. Small waves lap gently against wooden hulls. A fisherman checks a repaired section of net. Satisfied, he pushes away from shore. The boat glides forward. The river welcomes him back. Life along the Nile follows its own steady rhythm. Morning effort. Midday rest. Afternoon work. Evening recovery. The pattern repeats so often that it becomes almost invisible. Yet it shapes everything. Even architecture reflects it. Many homes are built to create shade. Courtyards provide airflow. Storage areas protect food from heat. Workspaces are arranged with comfort in mind whenever possible. People learn through centuries of experience. Every generation adds a little more understanding. Every generation leaves practical knowledge behind. As afternoon deepens, villages become livelier again. Children emerge from shaded homes. Merchants reopen stalls. Neighbors exchange greetings. Animals wander familiar paths. The stillness of midday slowly fades. The village breathes once more. A baker removes fresh loaves from a clay oven. The smell spreads through nearby streets. Warm bread has a comforting scent in any century. People passing by notice immediately. Some pause to purchase food. Others simply enjoy the aroma as they continue walking. The baker wipes flour from his hands. His work is demanding too. Long hours near heat. Heavy sacks of grain. Early mornings. Yet he understands the importance of timing. Much of his labor takes place before sunrise or later in the day. Experience teaches these lessons. The sun itself becomes a kind of teacher. As evening draws closer, the atmosphere changes again. The fierce brightness softens into warm gold. Long shadows stretch across roads and fields. The land appears gentler now. More forgiving. Workers notice renewed energy. The hardest part of the day is behind them. Tasks that seemed difficult earlier now feel manageable. A group of builders carries materials toward a construction site. Their pace remains steady. Their voices grow slightly more animated. The cooler air lifts their spirits. Nearby, farmers gather tools and prepare to finish for the day. The fields glow beneath the lowering sun. Birds circle above distant reeds. The Nile shines like polished metal. Everywhere, signs of evening appear. And with evening comes anticipation. Not excitement. Something quieter. The simple comfort of knowing that rest is approaching. A meal with family. Cooler air. Conversation. Sleep. The rewards of an honest day's work. An elderly fisherman guides his boat toward shore. He has spent most of his life on these waters. Thousands of mornings. Thousands of evenings. Countless midday rests beneath shade. His face carries the marks of many years beneath the sun. His hands are strong despite their age. He understands something that younger workers are still learning. The land cannot be conquered. The heat cannot be defeated. The Nile cannot be controlled completely. Life becomes easier when people move with these forces rather than against them. So he follows the rhythms he has always known. Work when conditions allow. Rest when rest is needed. Trust tomorrow to arrive in its own time. The boat reaches shore. The old fisherman steps onto the riverbank. The evening breeze touches his face. Behind him, the Nile continues flowing quietly through the fading light. Ahead of him, village fires are beginning to glow. And as another peaceful Egyptian day moves toward night, workers throughout the valley prepare once again for food, family, sleep, and the gentle darkness that will soon settle over the ancient world. The evening settles softly across the Nile Valley. Golden light rests upon the fields like a thin blanket. The river reflects the colors of the sky, carrying shades of amber and bronze across its gentle surface. The heat that seemed endless only a few hours ago now feels distant. Workers begin their journeys home. Along dusty roads, sandals press familiar paths into the earth. Farmers walk beside one another, carrying simple tools over their shoulders. Builders brush dry dust from their clothing. Fishermen bring their catches from the river. The pace is slow. No one seems hurried. The day has already given everything it intended to give. Now comes the quieter part. A farmer follows a narrow path between fields irrigated by Nile water. The plants sway gently in the evening breeze. Small birds dart between reeds along the water channels. He pauses briefly. Not because he is tired enough to stop. Not because anything unusual has caught his attention. He simply pauses because the evening is pleasant. The air feels comfortable against his skin. The sunlight has become gentle. For a moment, he stands in silence. Perhaps he listens to distant birds. Perhaps he watches the movement of water. Perhaps he thinks of nothing at all. Then he continues walking. Throughout ancient Egypt, countless ordinary workers experience moments like this. Small pauses. Quiet observations. Brief stretches of stillness between tasks. History rarely records such moments. Yet they fill entire lifetimes. Back in the villages, cooking fires begin appearing one by one. Thin columns of smoke drift upward into the fading sky. The smell of bread soon follows. Warm. Comforting. Familiar. A woman kneels beside a clay oven. She has spent much of the day managing household responsibilities. Grinding grain. Preparing food. Caring for children. Maintaining the home. Her work may look different from labor in the fields, yet it is equally important. Without these daily efforts, families could not function. The dough she prepared earlier is now ready. She places it carefully into the heat. Soon the scent spreads through the nearby streets. Children notice immediately. They always do. Nearby, A small group of boys returns from helping their families throughout the day. Their feet are dusty. Their clothing is simple. They speak quietly about ordinary things. A bird they saw near the river. A stubborn donkey. A fishing boat returning to shore. Their world is small. Yet it feels complete. As darkness approaches, villagers gather closer to home. The heat no longer drives them indoors. Instead, the cooler air encourages people to spend time outside. Neighbors sit near doorways. Families gather in courtyards. Conversations drip through the evening air. Nothing feels rushed. The day's labor has ended. The pressure has eased. A builder sits beside his home and drinks water from a clay cup. The vessel keeps the water pleasantly cool. He takes slow sips. His muscles still carry traces of fatigue. His shoulders ache slightly. His hands feel heavy. Yet beneath the tiredness lies satisfaction. The kind that comes from useful work completed. Tomorrow will bring new tasks. But tomorrow is still far away. For now, there is only the evening. Above the village, birds begin returning to places where they will spend the night. Their calls become less frequent. The sky slowly darkens. Colors fade. Shadows lengthen. The entire landscape seems to exhale. Near the riverbank, fishermen finish securing their boats. Ropes are tied. Nets are stored. Equipment is checked. These small habits prevent problems later. Experience has taught them the value of preparation. A net repaired tonight will not fail tomorrow. A rope secured properly will remain dependable. Small actions matter. They always have. One fisherman sits beside the water after finishing his work. The Nile flows quietly before him. The surface reflects the first stars beginning to appear overhead. He listens. Water against wood. Reeds moving softly. The distant sounds of village life. The river never seems entirely silent. Yet its sounds are calming rather than distracting. The Nile has accompanied every stage of his life. Childhood. Youth. Adulthood. Its presence feels permanent. Reliable. Ancient. Many workers find comfort in this constancy. The river remains while seasons change. Floods come and go. Harvests rise and fall. Children grow into adults. Years pass. The Nile continues flowing. Back in the village, meals are ready. Families gather together. Bread is shared. Vegetables are served. Fish may appear on some tables. Dates offer sweetness at the end of a meal. The food is simple. Yet after a day of labor, simplicity feels satisfying. Conversation moves slowly. People discuss practical matters. Work completed. Tasks awaiting tomorrow. News from neighboring villages. Observations about crops and river levels. The subjects are ordinary. The tone remains gentle. Nobody seeks excitement. Most people are simply grateful for food, family, and relief from the heat. Inside one home, an elderly woman tells a story to younger family members. The children sit quietly nearby. The story unfolds at an unhurried pace. It speaks of a fisherman from long ago. Of river journeys. Of changing seasons. The details matter less than the telling itself. The familiar sound of a trusted voice. The comfort of shared attention. These evening stories connect generations. Knowledge passes naturally from one person to another. Not through formal lessons. Through conversation. Through memory. Through repetition. Outside, darkness continues spreading across the valley. The stars become brighter. One by one, they appear across the sky. Without bright artificial light, the heavens seem enormous. A river of stars stretches overhead. Ancient Egyptians spend their entire lives beneath this view. Farmers know it. Fishermen know it. Builders know it. Children learn its patterns from an early age. The night sky becomes another familiar companion. A worker walking home after a late task glances upward. The stars guide his path. The air feels cool now. The contrast with midday is remarkable. Only a few hours earlier, shade seemed essential. Now the night breeze feels pleasant enough to encourage long walks. Some villagers remain outside for a while. The coolness is too enjoyable to waste. A group of neighbors sits together near a courtyard entrance. Their conversation comes and goes. Sometimes they speak. Sometimes they simply enjoy the quiet. Neither feels uncomfortable. Silence is familiar here. Silence belongs naturally to the evening. Nearby, a dog settles onto the ground. Its eyes half close. The animal has spent the day avoiding heat just like everyone else. Now it relaxes. The village itself seems to grow sleepy. Doors close. Voices fade. Cooking fires burn lower. One household after another prepares for sleep. Inside a modest home, a farmer spreads a woven mat across the floor. The day's work has left him exhausted. Not painfully exhausted. Comfortably exhausted. The kind of tiredness earned through effort. He lies down slowly. The room feels calm. A faint breeze enters through an opening in the wall. Family members settle nearby. Soon the house becomes quiet. Outside, the sounds of the village continue fading. The farmer closes his eyes. His body relaxes almost immediately. The rhythm of his days rarely changes. He wakes before sunrise. Works through the cool morning. Rests during the strongest heat. Returns to labor in the afternoon. Shares an evening meal. Sleeps beneath the stars. The pattern repeats. Again and again. Season after season. Year after year. This rhythm shapes his life as surely as the Nile shapes the land. Elsewhere, builders are falling asleep. Fishermen are falling asleep. Merchants are falling asleep. Servants are falling asleep. Across Egypt, thousands upon thousands of ordinary workers surrender to the comfort of night. Their homes vary. Their occupations vary. Their responsibilities vary. Yet all have felt the same sun. All have sought the same shade. All have welcomed the same evening relief. And throughout the valley, the lessons of midday rest remain woven into daily life. Not as a luxury. Not as an exception. But as a necessity learned through generations. The heat demands respect. The body demands care. Wisdom lies in understanding both. Above the sleeping villages, the stars continue their silent journey across the sky. The Nile glides through darkness. Palm trees sway gently in the breeze. The desert beyond the fertile valley rests beneath moonlight. Everything grows still. Everything grows quiet. And through the peaceful hours of the night, ancient Egypt sleeps, gathering strength for another dawn, another day of labor, another midday rest beneath welcoming shade, and another gentle evening beside the eternal river. The night deepens over the Nile Valley. Most homes are quiet now. The conversations that drifted through village lanes after sunset have faded away. Cooking fires have burned low. Clay ovens sit dark and still. The roads that carried workers home now lie empty beneath the stars. Only a few sounds remain. The distant cry of a night bird. The rustle of palm fronds moving in the breeze. The soft lapping of water against a riverbank. These sounds drift through the darkness without disturbing anyone. They belong to the night. Inside a small home near the edge of a farming village, a family sleeps together. The room is simple. Mud brick walls surround them. A few baskets rest against one side of the room. A clay jar stands near the doorway. Tools used during the day wait quietly for tomorrow. Nothing moves. The farmer who spent the morning working beneath the sun now sleeps deeply. His breathing is slow. His hands rest peacefully at his sides. The aches in his muscles have softened. Sleep is doing its quiet work. Repairing. Restoring. Preparing him for another day. For workers throughout ancient Egypt, sleep is precious. Their lives demand energy. Fields require attention. Animals require care. Boats require maintenance. Buildings require labor. Every day asks something from the body. Every night gives something back. Outside the village, the Nile continues its endless journey. The river seems different at night. More mysterious. More peaceful. Moonlight paints silver paths across the surface. The reeds along the shore sway gently. A small fishing boat rocks almost imperceptibly where it has been secured for the evening. Its owner sleeps nearby in his home, unaware of the tiny movements of water. The river watches over everything. It always has. Generations come and go. The Nile remains. An old fisherman once told his grandson that the river remembers more days than any person ever could. Perhaps he was right. The Nile has seen countless dawns. Countless harvests. Countless workers seeking shade beneath the midday sun. Its waters have reflected the faces of people whose names have long since disappeared. Yet their lives filled these shores. Their footsteps crossed these fields. Their laughter echoed through these villages. As the hours pass, the night becomes cooler. The warmth stored in stone walls slowly escapes into the air. The earth releases the heat gathered during the day. For many Egyptians, this is the most comfortable time of all. The heavy burden of the afternoon sun feels very far away. The coolness is gentle. Not cold. Simply refreshing. In one village, a watchman remains awake. His task is simple. He walks slowly through quiet streets. His sandals brush against dusty ground. He listens. Observes. Makes sure everything remains peaceful. The work requires patience more than strength. The watchman pauses occasionally. Above him, the stars stretch across the sky in astonishing numbers. He recognizes many of them. Not by formal names. Not through scholarly study. Simply through familiarity. He has spent countless nights beneath them. The stars feel almost like old acquaintances. As he continues his walk, he passes sleeping homes. Behind each doorway rests a different story. A baker who rose before dawn. A potter who spent the day shaping clay. A merchant who traveled dusty roads. A servant who worked within a wealthy household. A fisherman who repaired nets beside the river. Different lives. Different responsibilities. Yet all connected by the same rhythms of work and rest. The same sun. The same heat. The same relief that arrives when shade finally appears. Hours pass. The moon moves across the sky. The stars shift slowly overhead. Then, almost without notice, the night begins to change. It happens gradually. Very gradually. The darkness becomes slightly less deep. The eastern horizon softens. The first hints of dawn remain hidden from most sleeping villagers. Yet the world is already preparing itself. Birds stir quietly among trees. Animals begin shifting in their sleep. The Nile reflects a faint suggestion of light. The new day approaches. Inside homes, workers remain asleep for now. These final hours before dawn often provide the deepest rest. Bodies recover fully. Minds drift through peaceful dreams. Perhaps a farmer dreams of fields covered in healthy crops. Perhaps a fisherman dreams of calm water. Perhaps a child dreams of running beside the river. The dreams themselves matter little. What matters is the rest. The simple gift of uninterrupted sleep. Eventually, the first bird calls break the silence. A single note. Then another. The sounds spread gradually through the valley. The sky begins brightening. Stars disappear one by one. Night slowly steps aside. A new morning arrives. The transition is gentle. There is no sudden burst of activity. No dramatic awakening. Ancient Egypt rises slowly. A woman opens her eyes and listens to the familiar sounds of dawn. A farmer shifts beneath his blanket. A child turns over and continues sleeping for a little longer. Outside, birds continue singing. The cool air drifts through open doorways. The day feels fresh. Full of possibility. Not because something extraordinary will happen. Because ordinary life will continue. And ordinary life is enough. Soon cooking fires appear once more. Tiny flames flicker within clay ovens. The smell of baking bread begins spreading through the village. The scent is warm and welcoming. It has greeted countless mornings. People recognize it instantly. A farmer sits quietly while eating his first meal of the day. The food is simple. Bread. Perhaps dates. Perhaps onions. Water from a clay vessel. Nothing lavish. Yet it provides what he needs. Energy for the hours ahead. Around him, family members begin preparing for their own responsibilities. Everyone understands the day's rhythm. Work early. Avoid wasting the cool hours. Rest when the sun reaches its height. Resume activity when conditions improve. The pattern feels as natural as breathing. Nobody needs to explain it. Children learn it simply by growing up. They watch adults rise before dawn. They watch workers seek shade during midday. They watch families gather again during evening. The lessons become part of life. Outside, roads gradually fill with movement. Workers leave their homes. Some head toward fields. Others toward workshops. Others toward the river. The village wakes gently. A farmer walks through fields still touched by morning coolness. Tiny drops of moisture cling to leaves. Birds move through reeds beside irrigation channels. The soil feels pleasant beneath his sandals. For now, the heat remains far away. These early hours often feel peaceful. The land seems rested, refreshed, ready. Nearby, builders begin their work. Wooden tools are lifted. Materials are arranged. Tasks are discussed quietly. No one rushes. There is time. The sun is still low. The morning belongs to effort. As the hours pass, activity spreads across the valley. Boats move along the Nile. Merchants prepare their goods. Potters shape clay. Weavers work with linen. Everywhere, people contribute to the life of the civilization around them. Most will never become famous. Most will never be remembered by name. Yet their labor supports everything. The great monuments of history often attract attention. But ordinary workers make daily life possible. They grow food, build homes, transport goods, repair tools, raise children, maintain communities. The civilization rests upon their shoulders. And because their work is demanding, rest remains essential. The wisdom of midday shade continues passing from generation to generation. A young worker watches older men gather beneath a shelter as the day grows hotter. At first he remains standing, eager to continue, determined to prove himself. But eventually he joins them. He drinks water, sits quietly, allows his body to recover. Without realizing it, he becomes part of a tradition stretching back many centuries. A tradition built not from laws or commands but from experience. The land teaches the lesson. The sun teaches the lesson. The body teaches the lesson. Work and rest belong together. One supports the other. Neither can exist properly without the other. And as the morning advances once more across the Nile Valley, the familiar warmth begins slowly returning. The shadows shorten. The sunlight brightens. The air grows heavier. Another midday waits somewhere ahead. Another period of shade. Another opportunity for tired workers to pause, breathe, and recover beneath the endless Egyptian sky. The river flows beside them as always. Steady. Patient. Timeless. And life continues in its gentle rhythm, one peaceful day after another. The morning unfolds slowly across the Nile Valley. The sun continues its steady climb above the eastern horizon. Golden light spreads across fields, villages, and riverbanks. The coolness of dawn begins to fade, though traces of it still linger in shaded places. Workers make good use of these hours. A farmer walks beside an irrigation channel carrying a simple wooden tool. The earth beneath his feet is dark and rich from the river's gifts. Water moves quietly through narrow pathways cut into the soil. He pauses occasionally to adjust the flow. A small change here. A careful adjustment there. Nothing dramatic. Just the patient work required to keep crops healthy. Nearby, another farmer bends over rows of growing plants. The labor is repetitive. Yet there is a certain peace in repetition. The body learns the movements. The hands know what to do. Thoughts can wander gently while work continues. Across Egypt, countless workers experience the same feeling. The comfort of familiar tasks. The comfort of routine. The comfort of knowing exactly what the day requires. Farther along the river, a group of fishermen prepares for the coming hours. The Nile is calm. Its surface reflects the growing brightness of the sky. Wooden boats drift quietly near the shore. A fisherman examines a net repaired during the previous evening. His fingers move carefully through the woven fibers. Checking. Inspecting. Making sure everything remains dependable. A small tear ignored today could become a larger problem tomorrow. Experience has taught him this lesson many times. Around him, other fishermen perform similar tasks. The atmosphere is calm. Nobody rushes. The river has always rewarded patience more than speed. The fishermen understand this. The water seems to encourage it. In nearby villages, workshops gradually fill with activity. A carpenter smooths a wooden board. A potter shapes wet clay upon a turning surface. A weaver guides linen threads through a loom. The sounds of their labor blend together softly. Wood scraping. Clay pressing. Fibers tightening. These sounds form the music of ordinary Egyptian life. Not loud. Not overwhelming. Just steady. Consistent. Comforting. The workers themselves rarely think about it. The sounds surround them every day. They have become part of the background of existence. Much like the river. Much like the wind. Much like the sun itself. As the morning advances, merchants begin receiving visitors. Simple market areas become busier. People exchange goods. Food changes hands. Tools are traded. Conversations drip through the air. The market is not a place of excitement. It is a place of necessity. A place where daily life continues. One merchant arranges baskets beneath a cloth covering that provides a little shade. He knows the sunlight will grow stronger as the day progresses. Preparation now will make the afternoon easier. Like many workers, he has learned to think ahead. The climate encourages such habits. Every practical advantage matters. Every bit of shade matters. Every opportunity for rest matters. The sun rises higher. Slowly. Patiently. The shadows become shorter. The brightness intensifies. The land begins changing. A traveler walking a dusty road notices it first through the air. The cool morning breeze has weakened. Warmth now surrounds him from every direction. The earth beneath his sandals feels hotter. His pace slows slightly. Not because he lacks strength. Because conserving energy is wise. Ancient Egyptians understand that wisdom often appears in simple forms. Walking a little slower. Drinking water carefully. Seeking shade when available. Resting before exhaustion arrives. These choices help people endure long years of labor. Near a construction site, builders continue their work. Baskets of materials move steadily from one place to another. Stone blocks are adjusted. Mud bricks are arranged. Wooden supports are positioned carefully. The workers coordinate through quiet communication. Years of experience have taught them how to work together efficiently. Many have known one another for a long time. They understand each other's habits. Each other's strengths. Each other's pace. The work proceeds smoothly. Yet even here, attention slowly shifts toward the sky. Not consciously. Not constantly. Simply through habit. Everyone knows what is coming. The midday heat never arrives unexpectedly. It announces itself gradually. A little more warmth. A little more brightness. A little less breeze. The signs become clearer with every passing hour. In a farming village, a woman carries water from a storage jar into the shade of her home. The clay vessel feels cool against her hands. Inside, the room remains pleasantly dim. The thick walls protect against direct sunlight. A child sits nearby weaving small strands of plant fiber together. The work is simple. The pace is unhurried. Outside, village life continues. Yet inside, the atmosphere feels calm. Protected. These homes may seem modest. Yet generations of experience have shaped their design. People build according to the conditions around them. Every choice serves a purpose. The position of a doorway. The thickness of a wall. The arrangement of a courtyard. Nothing is accidental. Everything reflects lessons learned over centuries. By late morning, the change in temperature becomes impossible to ignore. The sunlight now dominates the landscape. Fields shimmer. Roads glow pale beneath the sky. Stone surfaces radiate warmth. Workers begin feeling the strain. Not overwhelming strain. Simply the steady fatigue that accompanies physical labor beneath a powerful sun. A farmer straightens his back and stretches. He wipes sweat from his forehead. Nearby, another worker drinks from a water container. The cool liquid offers welcome relief. Neither man complains. The conditions are familiar. Expected. Part of life. Still, both understand that rest will soon become necessary. The midday pause approaches. A group of laborers working near the riverbank notices birds gathering within reeds along the water. Many animals seek shade as temperatures rise. People do the same. The behavior feels natural. Almost instinctive. A fisherman pulls his boat closer to shore. He has accomplished much of the morning's work already. The hottest hours are near. Soon he will sit beneath shelter. Eat a simple meal. Allow his body to recover. The routine repeats itself day after day. Yet it never feels unnecessary. The human body appreciates consistency, especially under difficult conditions. Throughout the valley, similar thoughts guide countless decisions. A carpenter finishes a task before setting down his tools. A potter prepares clay for later use. A merchant arranges goods beneath protective coverings. Each person anticipates the same transition. The shift from work to rest. The shift from sunlight to shade. The shift from effort to recovery. The process feels almost ceremonial in its regularity. Not because anyone formally observes it. Because everyone participates. The entire society adjusts together. As the sun reaches higher into the sky, activity gradually slows. Voices become quieter. Movements become more deliberate. People conserve energy. The landscape itself appears to slow down. Dust hangs lazily in the air. Palm trees sway gently. The Nile continues its patient journey through the valley. Its waters seem untouched by the concerns of human schedules. Yet the river remains central to everything. Workers glance toward it often. The sight brings comfort. The presence of water always does. Near one section of the river, a group of farmers gathers beneath a stand of trees. The shade is welcome. They sit upon the ground. Remove sandals. Stretch tired legs. One man shares dates from a small pouch. Another offers bread. The meal is modest, yet deeply satisfying. Food tastes different after hours of labor. Simple ingredients become enough. Conversation drifts gently among them. No one speaks loudly. The heat discourages unnecessary effort. Instead, voices remain low and calm. Someone mentions the condition of a field. Another speaks about the previous flood season. A third recalls a year when the river rose particularly high. The stories unfold naturally. No one hurries to finish. Time seems to move differently beneath shade. Nearby, another worker closes his eyes. Not sleeping fully. Simply resting. Listening to the breeze moving through leaves overhead. Listening to distant water. Listening to the quiet sounds of others relaxing nearby. His breathing slows. His shoulders loosen. The tension of the morning begins fading. This is what the midday rest provides. Not merely physical recovery. Mental recovery as well. A chance to step away from effort. A chance to become still. A chance to exist without immediate demands. Across Egypt, thousands of workers experience these same moments. Builders resting against walls. Fishermen beside the river. Farmers beneath trees. Craftsmen within shaded workshops. Servants in cooler corners of large homes. Different occupations. Different surroundings. The same need for rest. The same appreciation for shade. The same understanding that strength must be protected if it is to last. Above them all, the sun shines brilliantly. The sky remains clear. The heat continues pressing down upon the land. Yet beneath shelters, trees, and mud brick walls, another world exists. A quieter world. A slower world. A world of recovery. And as the hottest part of the day settles over the Nile Valley once more, workers throughout ancient Egypt surrender willingly to the ancient rhythm that has guided generations before them. Work with the morning, rest with the midday sun, and prepare quietly for the gentle return of afternoon. The midday hours settle over the Nile Valley like a warm, invisible blanket. The sun stands high above the land. Its light pours across fields, riverbanks, villages, and distant stretches of desert. The brightness seems to reach every corner of the world. Yet beneath that brightness, life has slowed. The busiest work of the morning is finished for now. Workers sit in the shade. Families remain within cooler rooms. Animals gather beneath trees and beside walls. The entire valley seems to understand that this is a time for patience. A farmer rests beneath a cluster of date palms near the edge of a field. The ground beneath him is dry but comfortable enough. The shade shifts gently as the leaves above move in the breeze. Nearby, water flows through a narrow irrigation channel. The sound is soft, steady, almost soothing. He listens without really thinking about it. The sound has been part of his life for as long as he can remember. When he was a child, he heard it. When he worked beside his father, he heard it. Now, as a grown man with children of his own, he still hears it every day. Some sounds become woven into a person's life so completely that they feel like part of the world itself. The Nile's water is one of those sounds. The farmer takes a slow drink from a clay container. The water feels cool. Not cold. Just cool enough to feel refreshing. He closes his eyes for a moment. The warmth of the day remains around him, but the shade protects him from its harshest effects. His body begins relaxing. The muscles in his shoulders loosen. The tension in his back eases. The morning's work drifts into the background. There will be more work later. For now, rest is enough. Across the valley, similar scenes unfold. A fisherman sits beside his boat where a simple cloth canopy provides shelter. The river glitters beyond him. Sunlight dances across the water's surface. The brightness is almost hypnotic. He watches it for a while. Then his eyes grow heavy. Soon he is asleep. The nap is brief. A few moments. Perhaps a little longer. But it is enough. Sleep during the hottest hours often comes easily. The combination of early rising, physical labor, and warmth encourages it. The body welcomes the opportunity. The fisherman breathes slowly. His face relaxes. The river continues flowing nearby. The two seem perfectly at peace together. In a village workshop, a carpenter sits quietly beside unfinished work. Wood shavings remain scattered across the floor. Tools rest where they were placed. The room feels still. Sunlight enters through a narrow opening near the roof. Dust drifts through the beam of light. Tiny particles floating lazily through the air. The carpenter studies them for a moment. Then he smiles faintly. Even the dust seems sleepy today. Outside, the streets are unusually calm. The market remains open, but activity has slowed considerably. A merchant sits beside baskets of goods. He knows most customers will wait until later. There is no reason to become frustrated. This happens every day. The afternoon will bring more visitors. For now, he enjoys the shade stretched above his stall. A slight breeze occasionally passes through. When it does, everyone notices. The smallest movement of air feels valuable. A gift from the day. Children who spent the morning helping their families rest indoors. Some sleep. Others sit quietly near parents or grandparents. Stories are told softly. Simple stories. Stories repeated many times before. Tales of fishing trips. Stories about unusual floods. Memories from years long past. The children listen carefully. Not because the stories are dramatic. Because the voices telling them are familiar. Comforting. The sound of a grandparent speaking calmly in a cool room creates its own kind of peace. An elderly man sits near a doorway where he can watch the village street. He no longer works as heavily as he once did. Age has changed his responsibilities. His hands remain rough from decades of labor. His face carries lines shaped by sun and time. He watches younger workers resting nearby. In many of them, he sees pieces of himself. The same tired posture. The same dust-covered sandals. The same appreciation for shade. The cycle continues. One generation follows another. The work changes very little. The rhythms remain the same. The sun climbs. The heat grows. The rest arrives. Then work begins again. The old man has lived through this pattern thousands of times. It feels as dependable as the river. Beyond the villages, fields stretch toward the horizon. Some areas shimmer beneath the sunlight. The air itself seems to tremble above the earth. A traveler crossing open ground notices how quiet everything has become. Birds are less active now. Animals move slowly. Even insects seem subdued by the heat. The traveler adjusts a cloth covering around his head and continues walking. His pace remains steady. He knows better than to hurry. The midday hours reward patience. Many Egyptians learned from childhood that fighting the heat only creates more discomfort. Moving carefully works better. Resting works better. Working with the climate rather than against it works better. These lessons become habits. The habits become traditions. And the traditions shape daily life. Near the river, a group of builders rests beneath a shelter made from reeds. Their meal has already been eaten. Bread. A few vegetables. Dates shared among friends. Now they simply sit together. One man leans against a support post. Another lies stretched upon the ground. A third quietly sharpens a tool. The movement is slow. Unhurried. No one feels pressure to fill every moment with activity. There is value in stillness. The builders know that. The heat reminds them. Conversation drifts gently between them. Someone mentions a repair needed at home. Another talks about a son learning field work. The subjects remain ordinary. Practical. Human. History often focuses on grand events. Yet most lives are built from conversations exactly like these. Conversations beneath shade. Conversations during meals. Conversations shared between people simply passing through another day together. The afternoon slowly approaches. At first, the change is almost impossible to notice. The sun remains high. The heat remains strong. Yet subtle signs begin appearing. Shadows lengthen slightly. The quality of light changes. A breeze arrives more often. Workers recognize these signs instinctively. They have watched them their entire lives. A fisherman opens his eyes after sleeping beside the river. For a moment he simply listens. Water moving through reeds. Birds calling in the distance. The faint sounds of a village beginning to stir again. The world is waking from its midday pause. Nearby, Another fisherman stretches and stands. His muscles feel less stiff now. His energy has returned. The rest period has done its work. Across the valley, similar awakenings occur. Farmers rise from beneath trees. Builders gather tools. Craftsmen return to workshops. Merchants adjust displays. The transition happens gradually. No signal announces it. No official commands it. People simply know. The worst heat is passing. Activity begins flowing back into the world. The roads become slightly busier. The villages slightly louder. The fields slightly more active. The afternoon carries a different feeling from morning. Morning feels fresh, full of beginnings. Afternoon feels steady, comfortable, predictable. Workers know what remains to be done before evening. The uncertainty has disappeared. Only familiar tasks remain. A farmer returns to his field carrying renewed energy. The crops wait exactly where he left them. Water still flows through the channels. Birds still move among the reeds. Nothing has changed. Yet everything feels easier. Rest has changed the worker himself. His body is ready again. His mind is clear. The afternoon welcomes him back. Nearby, a builder resumes work on a wall. Each mud brick fits carefully into place. The rhythm returns immediately. Lift. Position. Adjust. Repeat. The motions feel natural. Almost effortless after so many years. Across Egypt, countless workers step back into their responsibilities with the same quiet determination. Not because they love hard labor. Not because they seek exhaustion. Because work is part of life. And rest is part of life too. The two belong together. One supports the other. One gives meaning to the other. As the sun begins its slow journey toward the western horizon, the valley breathes once more. The stillness of midday fades behind it. The gentle activity of afternoon spreads across the land. The Nile continues flowing beside it all, patient and timeless, watching another day unfold among the workers who have learned, generation after generation, how to live in harmony with the heat, the river, and the slow rhythms of the ancient world. The afternoon settles comfortably across the Nile Valley. The fierce edge of midday has softened now. The sunlight remains bright, but it no longer feels quite as overwhelming. Long hours still remain before darkness, yet workers sense that the most difficult part of the day has passed. The land itself seems relieved. A breeze moves through the reeds along the riverbank. Palm leaves sway gently overhead. Birds become more active once again. The valley slowly awakens from its midday quiet. A farmer stands beside an irrigation channel and watches water flow through the field. The sunlight catches the surface, turning it into a ribbon of moving silver. He bends down and clears a small blockage where mud has gathered. The water immediately changes direction. A simple adjustment. A small task. Yet these small tasks fill much of life. A field remains healthy because of thousands of tiny actions repeated over many seasons. The farmer understands this. He does not think of his work as one grand effort. He thinks of it as many small efforts joined together. A little work today. A little work tomorrow. A little work the next day. Eventually crops grow. Eventually harvests arrive. Patience creates results. Across the valley, patience is a common companion. Near the river, fishermen return to their boats. The afternoon light sparkles across the water. A fisherman pushes away from shore using a long pole. The boat glides smoothly into the current. There is no hurry. Fish have their own rhythms. The river has its own rhythm. The fisherman simply joins them. He watches the water carefully. The movement of birds. The shifting surface. The gentle pull of the current. Years beside the Nile have taught him countless lessons. Most of them cannot be written down. Most are learned through observation. Through quiet attention. Through time. The river rewards those who pay attention. Farther inland, a group of workers continues repairing a storage building. Mud bricks are stacked nearby. Wooden supports lean against a wall. The workers move steadily. Not fast. Not slow. Simply steady. One worker hums softly while he works. The sound drifts through the warm air. No one comments on it. The simple tune blends naturally with the afternoon. The rhythm of work often creates its own kind of music. The scrape of tools. The shifting of baskets. The distant calls of birds. The breeze moving through leaves. Together they form the soundtrack of ordinary Egyptian life. In a nearby village, children play beneath the shade of a large tree. The hottest hours kept them indoors earlier. Now they enjoy the freedom of cooler air. Their games are simple. A small stick. A smooth stone. A race between friends. Nothing elaborate. Yet they seem perfectly content. The adults watch occasionally while continuing their own tasks. Children have always found ways to create joy from simple things. Ancient Egypt is no different. An elderly woman sits nearby weaving fibers into cord. Her hands move automatically. The motions are familiar after so many years. She watches the children and smiles quietly. The sight reminds her of earlier times. Years when she was young. Years when her own children ran through these same village paths. The memories come gently. Like the breeze. Like the river. Not demanding attention. Simply arriving. Throughout Egypt, many older workers spend afternoons sharing knowledge with younger generations. Not through formal lessons. Not through written instruction. Through daily life. A young farmer learns how to read the condition of soil by watching his father. A fisherman learns where fish gather by following an older relative. A builder learns how to shape bricks by working beside experienced hands. Knowledge flows through communities much like water flows through irrigation channels. Steadily. Naturally. Quietly. The afternoon sun continues lowering. The angle of light begins changing. Shadows stretch farther across roads and fields. The landscape takes on a softer appearance. Colors deepen. The harsh brightness of midday becomes a memory. A merchant seated beneath a market shelter notices more customers arriving. This often happens as temperatures improve. People feel more comfortable moving about. Trade becomes busier. Conversations become more frequent. The merchant greets familiar faces. Many of his customers are neighbors. People he has known for years. Perhaps for decades. The exchange of goods often becomes an exchange of news as well. A comment about river levels. A discussion of crops. A question about a family member. The market serves many purposes. Not all of them involve trade. Nearby, a potter resumes shaping clay vessels. The workshop feels more comfortable now. Air moves through the room. The clay responds smoothly beneath skilled fingers. The potter works with complete concentration. Each movement matters. A slight adjustment changes the shape. A gentle pressure alters the curve. The vessel gradually emerges from the spinning clay. Patiently. Beautifully. The process feels almost meditative. The potter has repeated it thousands of times. Yet he still approaches each piece with care. Across the valley, countless craftspeople perform similar acts of quiet skill. A weaver guiding linen threads. A carpenter shaping wood. A basket maker weaving reeds. These workers rarely attract attention from history. Yet their creations fill homes and workplaces throughout Egypt. Their labor touches everyday life in countless ways. As the afternoon continues, the Nile reflects the changing sky. The water appears calmer somehow. Though perhaps it only seems that way because the day itself is growing calmer. A fisherman seated in his boat pauses to look toward the western horizon. The sun has begun its long descent. There is still plenty of daylight. Still time for work. Yet evening already feels closer. The promise of cooler air waits ahead. For workers, evening often brings a quiet sense of satisfaction. Not every task will be finished. There is always more work to do. There are always fields needing attention. Walls needing repair. Nets needing maintenance. Yet enough has been accomplished. Enough for today. That feeling matters. The knowledge that effort has produced something useful. A farmer returning home later will carry that feeling with him. A builder will carry it. A merchant will carry it. It becomes part of the reward for labor. The afternoon breeze grows slightly stronger. Dust lifts briefly from a road before settling again. Palm fronds rustle overhead. The sounds feel peaceful. A group of laborers pauses for a short drink of water. Not a long rest. Just a moment. Enough to refresh themselves. They stand together beneath a patch of shade. One man tells a simple story about a fishing trip years ago. The others listen. Someone laughs softly. The sound is warm and brief. Then they return to work. The story becomes part of the day. One more small memory added to many others. Life in ancient Egypt is built from countless moments like these. A shared meal. A conversation beneath a tree. A drink of water after labor. A cool breeze arriving unexpectedly. The great events of history happen far away from most people. Ordinary workers experience something else. They experience daily life. And daily life is rich with small details. As the sun lowers further, animals become more active. Goats wander near homes. Donkeys carry goods along village roads. Birds circle above fields. Even the dogs resting through midday now move about more freely. The entire valley seems to regain energy. A farmer finishes one final task before gathering his tools. He stands for a moment and looks across the fields. The evening light covers everything in gold. The crops glow softly. Water channels reflect the sky. Palm trees cast long shadows. The view feels familiar. He has seen it many times. Yet he never grows tired of it. Some sights remain beautiful no matter how often they appear. Nearby, another worker begins the walk home. His pace is relaxed. The day is winding down. The urgency of morning is gone. The burden of midday is gone. Only evening remains ahead. A meal. Family. Conversation. Rest. Simple things. Yet deeply meaningful. The Nile Valley slowly transitions toward night once again. The heat continues fading. The sky begins changing color. The first hints of evening appear along the horizon. And all across ancient Egypt, workers continue moving through the gentle final hours of the day, carrying with them the quiet wisdom learned over generations that labor is best balanced with rest, that shade is as valuable as effort, and that another peaceful evening waits beside the eternal river. The evening light grows softer with each passing moment. Across the Nile Valley, the long shadows of palm trees stretch over fields and dusty paths. The sun hangs lower now, no longer blazing from above but glowing warmly near the western horizon. For the workers of Egypt, this is often the most pleasant part of the day. The heat has loosened its hold. The air feels lighter. Even tired muscles seem grateful for the change. A farmer walks slowly along a familiar path leading back toward his village. His tools rest across one shoulder. The earth beneath his sandals still holds warmth from the afternoon, but it no longer feels harsh. Nearby, irrigation channels continue carrying water through the fields. The soft sound follows him as he walks. Water moving through soil. Birds settling among reeds. The distant voices of other workers heading home. Together they create a peaceful ending to the day. The farmer passes others returning from their own work. A fisherman carrying folded nets. A laborer brushing dust from his clothing. A young boy leading a donkey toward a small enclosure. No one seems hurried. The day is almost finished. There is comfort in knowing that. For many workers, the walk home becomes a quiet transition between labor and rest. The mind begins leaving behind the concerns of work. Thoughts turn toward evening meals. Toward family. Toward the coolness that night will soon bring. Ahead, the village is beginning to glow with life. Small cooking fires appear one by one. Thin streams of smoke rise into the fading sky. The scent of baking bread drifts through narrow streets. It is a familiar scent. A comforting scent. One that signals the day's work is nearly over. A woman kneels beside a clay oven, carefully tending the fire. The warmth of the oven no longer feels uncomfortable. Compared to the midday sun, it seems gentle. She places another loaf inside and watches patiently. Nearby, a child helps carry a basket of grain. The task is small, but important. Throughout Egypt, children learn responsibilities gradually. Not through long instruction. Simply through participation. Watching. Helping. Learning by doing. As evening settles further, more families gather outside their homes. The cooler air invites people into courtyards and village lanes. Neighbors exchange greetings. Friends stop to talk. The pace of conversation remains slow. Relaxed. No one feels pressed by time. The hardest work is finished. A group of older men sits together beneath a palm tree near the edge of the village. They have gathered here many evenings before. Perhaps hundreds. Perhaps thousands. The exact number no longer matters. The habit itself has become part of life. One man speaks about the river. Another remembers a flood from many years ago. A third comments on the condition of nearby fields. The conversation drifts naturally from one subject to another. Sometimes there are long pauses. Nobody rushes to fill them. Silence feels comfortable among old friends. Above them, birds cross the sky on their way to resting places. Their dark shapes move against the fading light. Soon even the birds will become quiet. Near the riverbank, fishermen finish securing their boats. Ropes are checked carefully. Equipment is stored safely. Nets are arranged for repair later if needed. Experience teaches them that small preparations made tonight will make tomorrow easier. A fisherman runs his hand along the edge of his boat. The wood feels familiar. Years of use have left smooth marks where hands have rested countless times. The boat has become almost like a companion. Dependable. Trusted. Necessary. The Nile flows quietly beside him. The river's surface reflects shades of gold and orange. The sight is beautiful in its simplicity. No monument. No palace. Just water, light, and evening. Many workers find their greatest moments of peace in scenes exactly like this. Not during celebrations. Not during festivals. During ordinary evenings. Moments when the world feels calm and complete. Back in the village, meals are being shared. Families gather together. Bread is broken into pieces. Fish, vegetables, dates, and other simple foods are passed from hand to hand. The meals are modest. Yet they satisfy. Food tastes especially good after a day of work. Perhaps because hunger sharpens appreciation. Perhaps because effort makes rest feel sweeter. A father listens while his children describe small events from the day. A bird they saw near the river. A task they completed. A friend they visited. The details are ordinary. Yet they matter. Families are built from these small exchanges. From listening. From sharing. From spending time together. As darkness slowly approaches, the temperature continues falling. The air becomes increasingly pleasant. Workers who spent the day beneath the sun feel the difference immediately. A builder sitting outside his home stretches his legs. The ache in his muscles remains, but it feels different now. Less burdensome. More like a reminder of work completed. He watches the sky change color. The transformation happens slowly. Gold becomes amber. Amber becomes purple. Purple deepens toward blue. The stars begin appearing one at a time. Ancient Egyptians know these stars well. Night after night. Year after year. Generation after generation. They rise and move across the sky in familiar patterns. A young child looks upward and points toward one particularly bright star. An older relative smiles and follows the child's gaze. The sky has inspired such moments for countless generations. Wonder requires no wealth. No education. No special status. Sometimes all it requires is a clear evening and a patient observer. Across the valley, workshops close for the night. Tools are stored. Doors are secured. Workspaces grow quiet. The sounds of labor disappear one by one. The carpenter finishes his final task. The potter sets aside newly shaped vessels. The weaver carefully arranges linen threads for tomorrow. Each worker leaves knowing that another day will eventually arrive. Another sunrise. Another morning of effort. Another midday rest beneath welcome shade. The cycle continues. Steady and dependable. Yet tonight belongs to rest. The village grows quieter. Cooking fires burn lower. Conversations become softer. Children grow sleepy. Many homes begin preparing for the night. Inside one small mud brick house, a farmer spreads a woven mat across the floor. The room feels comfortable now. The walls have released much of the day's heat. A faint breeze enters through an opening. Outside, the sounds of the village continue fading. The farmer lies down. His body feels heavy. Not unpleasantly heavy. Comfortably heavy. The kind of tiredness earned honestly. His eyes close. The day's images drift through his mind. Fields. Water. Sunlight. Shade. The familiar pattern of work and rest. Soon even those thoughts disappear. Sleep arrives gently. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey through the darkness. The river never truly rests. Yet it seems peaceful all the same. Moonlight touches the water. Reeds sway softly. Palm trees stand as silent silhouettes beneath the stars. One by one, workers throughout the valley surrender to sleep. Farmers, fishermen, builders, merchants, servants, craftsmen. Their names may be forgotten, their stories mostly lost. Yet tonight they rest beneath the same sky that watched over them thousands of years ago. And as silence settles more deeply across ancient Egypt, another peaceful night begins beside the eternal Nile, carrying tired workers gently toward tomorrow's dawn and another day shaped by sun, shade, labor, and rest. The night stretches quietly across the Nile Valley. The villages sleep beneath a sky crowded with stars. The roads are empty now. The workshops are silent. The fields rest in darkness beyond the last rows of mud brick homes. Only the Nile continues its steady movement. The river glides through the sleeping land without pause, just as it did yesterday, and the day before that, and countless days before any living person was born. Moonlight rests upon the water. Small ripples catch the pale glow and carry it downstream. Along the riverbanks, reeds whisper softly whenever the breeze passes through them. The sound is gentle, almost like distant breathing. A fisherman sleeping beside his family does not hear it consciously. Yet perhaps some part of him always knows the river is there. The Nile has been beside him his entire life. Its presence is as familiar as his own heartbeat. Inside homes throughout Egypt, workers sleep deeply. The farmer who spent the day tending irrigation channels now dreams quietly upon a woven mat. The builder whose hands lifted mud bricks all afternoon rests his tired shoulders. The merchant who spent long hours in the market breathes slowly in the darkness. The potter, the carpenter, the boatman, the baker. All of them sleep. The day has taken its share of energy. The night returns what it can. For ancient workers, sleep is not merely comfort. It is necessity. The body depends upon it. Especially in a climate where every day demands physical effort. Especially in a land where the sun tests endurance so regularly. Without proper rest, tomorrow becomes harder. The workers understand this, even if they never speak about it directly. They simply follow the rhythm. Work. Rest. Sleep. Wake. The pattern repeats so naturally that it feels inseparable from life itself. Outside one village, a donkey stands quietly within a simple enclosure. Its head lowers slightly. Even the animals seem calmer at night. They too have escaped the heat. They too recover their strength beneath the cooler air. The entire valley appears to be resting together. People, animals, fields, workshops, boats tied along riverbanks. Everything waits quietly for dawn. The stars move slowly overhead. Ancient Egyptians often spend much of their lives beneath these skies. Without bright lights to hide them, the stars seem endless. They fill the heavens from horizon to horizon. A young child waking briefly during the night might glance upward through an open doorway and see more stars than he could ever hope to count. Then sleep returns, and the sky continues its silent journey. Hours pass. The moon crosses the heavens. The air grows slightly cooler. The deepest part of night arrives. This is the hour when villages are at their quietest. Even the occasional sounds of movement disappear. The world seems still. Only the river moves. Only the breeze stirs the reeds. Only time continues its patient march forward. Far beyond the fertile valley, the desert rests beneath moonlight. The great stretches of sand remain silent. The heat stored during the day slowly escapes into the night air. The desert and the river exist side by side, as they always have. One harsh and dry. one life-giving and fertile. Between them lies the narrow ribbon of green where Egyptian workers build their lives. Every field, every village, every orchard, every road, all depend upon this balance. And every worker understands it, even if only through experience. A farmer may never travel far from his home. He may never see the distant reaches of Egypt. Yet he knows the value of the river. He sees it in every crop, every harvest, every loaf of bread. The Nile is woven into daily life. As deeply as the sun, as deeply as the seasons. Eventually, the darkness begins changing. At first the difference is almost impossible to notice. A faint softening along the eastern horizon. A subtle shift in the quality of the night. The stars still shine brightly. The moon still hangs overhead. Yet dawn has already begun its slow approach. The world is preparing itself. Birds tucked among branches begin stirring. Animals shift in their sleep. The river reflects the slightest hint of approaching light. Inside a small home, a baker opens his eyes. Years of routine have trained him to wake early. Very early. Before most others. Before the village fully awakens. The work of baking often begins while the world is still dark. He sits quietly for a moment. The room remains peaceful. Family members continue sleeping nearby. The baker listens. Nothing but distant river sounds and the occasional movement of a night breeze. The silence feels comforting. Then he rises. Carefully. Slowly. Outside, the air feels wonderfully cool. These hours before sunrise are treasured by many workers. The heat has not yet arrived. The land feels fresh. Almost renewed. The baker begins preparing his fire. Soon other early risers appear. A fisherman walking toward the river. A farmer checking an animal enclosure. A woman gathering supplies for the morning meal. The village wakes gradually. Never suddenly. Life emerges from the darkness one small step at a time. Farther away, along the riverbank, a fisherman unties his boat. The Nile appears dark and smooth beneath the fading stars. The water reflects both night and morning at the same time. The fisherman pushes away from shore. The boat glides silently across the surface. These moments belong to him. The peaceful time before the day grows busy. The peaceful time before the sun begins climbing. The peaceful time before work becomes demanding. Many workers cherish these early hours. The world feels quieter. More personal. The river belongs only to the birds and fishermen. The roads belong only to the earliest travelers. The fields belong only to farmers who arrive before sunrise. A gentle calm covers everything. Soon the eastern sky begins glowing. Blue emerges from darkness. Silver appears along the horizon. Then pale gold follows. The transformation happens slowly. Patiently. The Nile catches the first hints of morning light. Birds become louder. Their calls echo through reeds and palm groves. The village grows more active. Doors open. Cooking fires appear. The smell of bread begins spreading through the air once more. A farmer sits outside his home eating a simple breakfast. Bread. Water. Perhaps a few dates. Enough to begin the day. Around him, others prepare for work. The familiar rhythm resumes. Tools are gathered. Animals are led toward fields. Boats move onto the river. The cycle begins again. Not because anyone commands it. Because life itself encourages it. Morning offers cool air. Morning offers opportunity. Morning offers energy. Workers know this. They take advantage of it. The farmer finishes his meal and starts walking toward the fields. The sunlight remains gentle. The air remains pleasant. The irrigation channels sparkle beside him. Birds dart through the reeds. The world feels peaceful. For now, the memory of yesterday's heat seems distant. Yet everyone knows it will return. The sun is already climbing. The shadows are already shortening. The day is already unfolding according to patterns older than memory. Across Egypt, workers begin another chapter in the same ancient rhythm. Fields fill with activity. Workshops open. Markets prepare. The valley comes alive. And somewhere ahead, waiting patiently beneath the brightening sky, another midday approaches. Another season of shade. Another gathering beneath trees and shelters. Another opportunity for tired workers to pause, drink cool water, share bread, listen to the river, and rest their bodies beneath the vast and timeless Egyptian sun. And now, as our long journey through ancient Egypt gently comes to a close, the Nile flows quietly beneath the stars. The day has faded. The fields have grown still. The workshops are silent. The boats rest along the river banks where they have been tied for the night. Across the valley, warm lights from small homes have disappeared one by one. Families sleep behind mud brick walls. Farmers rest after tending their crops. Fishermen dream beside the river that has guided their lives. Builders, bakers, merchants, and craftsmen have all surrendered their tired bodies to the comfort of sleep. Above them, the ancient sky stretches endlessly. Thousands of stars shine softly over the dark water. A gentle breeze moves through the reeds. Palm leaves whisper in the night air. The desert beyond the fertile valley rests beneath pale moonlight. Nothing hurries. Nothing demands attention. Everything simply exists in quiet harmony. The Nile continues its timeless journey. Steady. Patient. Untroubled. It has carried countless generations through the centuries. Workers whose names are forgotten. Families whose stories have faded into history. Children who grew old and passed away beneath the same stars. The river remembers them all in its own silent way. Tonight, the villages sleep peacefully. The heat of the day has vanished. The shade that sheltered tired workers is no longer needed. The tools have been set aside. The fields can wait until morning. There is nothing left to do. Only rest. Only stillness. Only the gentle rhythm of breathing in the darkness. The stars drift slowly overhead. The river glides softly through the valley. A night bird calls once in the distance. Then silence returns. And in that silence, ancient Egypt settles into sleep. The farmers sleep. The fishermen sleep. The builders sleep. The children sleep. The entire valley rests beside the eternal Nile. The moon shines upon quiet water. The reeds sway softly. The cool night air moves gently across the land. And little by little, even history itself seems to grow distant. The sounds fade. The light fades. The river becomes softer. The stars become softer. Everything grows calm. Everything grows quiet. Everything drifts peacefully into the darkness. And beside the timeless waters of the Nile, beneath the endless Egyptian sky, the night carries on in perfect stillness. Crescent moon.